Hello, I'm Dr. Guru. I'm a consultant psychiatrist. This week, I managed to finish this lovely book called Play to Potential. This is written by Indian author. There were a lot of things that I've learned from this book, but just want to summarize in three bits. And before I summarize this book, um, just want to reflect this week. As a consultant psychiatrist, I see a lot of my patients at the end of their life. And I've realized that life is too short. I tend to do a lot of my outpatient clinic in care home, and this week I've seen few patients with palliative care, end of life, as well as the end state of dementia. So this experience really makes me value my life. Okay, so just now straight away going to the things which I've learned from this book. I've learned life is like a river that flows. It's not static. In life, we have also realized from now I need to be aware not to attach myself with an identity. If I attach myself with an identity, the problem is the growth tends to get restricted. For example, if I say myself that I'm a consultant, then the role that I undertake is quite limited. Instead of that, I need to learn to say I'm a consultant who is passionate, who wants to help people. So the more I define my role, it also helps my brain to grow. I've also realized life is multidimensional. It's not just straight. Life doesn't run in a straight line. So to summarize, the three things which I've learned from this book is when we grow up, there are different stages that we go through it. When we are born, we go through the stage of being very impulsive. Then after a certain time, we go being more self-centered. This is around the time when we are going through the teenager years. Then we go with the social mind. That is from the age of 18 to 25. And after that, once we study, and we go to the next phase, which is work. In work, the thing that we learn is to be self-auditory, and the last stage is self-transformation. I've realized that a life goes through a transition phase, and all of these phases are interconnected. So we need to be comfortable with transitions. We also need to be comfortable with contradictions that we have and reevaluate our life. On the first point, the point that I really find quite interesting is we need to define our wants, needs, and that also take into account the money element of it. I used to be a big favor of ikigai concept, but what I've realized is there's also a limitation in ikigai, because as a life, once we reach the position, our life doesn't stop; it just moves. Okay, so this is the first concept which I've learned from this book. And the second concept which I've learned from this book is self-awareness. Self-awareness, there are two elements: internal awareness as well as external awareness. And in life, we need to be aware of the pacings in which we live our life. Um, the current problem in the society which we have compared to the previous time is our society has got abundance, compared to the time before 2000. So we need to be aware of the parameters and the paradigms. And the thing which I found it quite interesting is in the states of an abundance, we also need to learn the art of cutting down the things which are not very important. Um, the title in itself, I find it interesting. And the writer have said instead of to work to potential, he have mentioned play to potential. If you use the concept of play, then it also helps you to be dynamic and change as per the situation and the circumstances. Now, number three point which I found it interesting in this book is the writer have taken an example of number of people, and he tried to explain the concept of flavor. In flavor, the things that it incorporates are family, love, aspiration, value, opportunity, to invest on yourself, relationship. And for each people, the priorities differ, and as an individual, we need to be aware of where our priority lies. And for a lifetime learner, there are some of the skills that which I am careful that I'll incorporate in my life. Those traits are to be curious, engaging, resilient, and insightful. Um, okay, so in summary, just want to summarize the three things which I've learned from this book is um, the nature, different phases that we have. The second thing is to be aware of our internal and external. The third favor is to be aware of our potential. And the last bit, which I found quite interesting of this book, is there's a syndrome called astronaut syndrome. That is, if we get everything we desire, then as a life, it becomes very boring. So we also need to define our aims and objective as the time frame goes on, and experience and maturity plays a big part of it. Thank you very much.